Welcome everyone. Let us see chapter 1 in botany, asexual and sexual reproduction in plants, under which we are going to see vegetative reproduction, the two by natural methods. Well, let's begin with the asexual reproduction. The definition of asexual reproduction is nothing but a method which helps to perpetuate its own species without the involvement of gamete is called as asexual reproduction. So here no both sexes are involved in case of production of the young ones. So that the reproduction method which helps to perpetuate its own species without the involvement of gametes. So whereas in case of lower plants such as fungi and animals show different methods of asexual reproductions, and some methods are shown below. Formation of conidia in case of fungi, especially in Aspergillus and Penicillium. Budding takes place in case of yeast as well as Hydra. Fragmentation occurs in case of the Spirogyra. Production of the gemma as occurs in the case of Mercantia. Regeneration occurring in the case of Planaria, and binary fission in case of bacteria. So in this picture, the yeast is shown. There is nothing but a unicellular fungi, and the parental cell develops a projection, what is called as the young bud, and the young bud will later on progress to develop into a very large type of bud, which get finally detached from the parental body, and later that will lead an individual life. Such a type of development in case of yeast is done by the budding process. Whereas in case of the algae Spirogyra, this occurs by the fragmentation. A fission occurs in between the parental cell, and later these two types will develop into young ones, and they will lead out as an individual life. Such a method is called as fragmentation. So to begin with, let us see vegetative reproduction, under which we are going to see natural methods. So this question we may get in 2-mark point of view. Define natural vegetation. So natural vegetative reproduction is a form of asexual reproduction in which a bud grows and develops into a new plant. The bud may be formed from any such organs like root, stem or leaves. So any part of the plant body like root, stem as well as leaves may give rise to a young plant. So that at some stage the new plant gets detached from the parental body and start to develop into a new plant. So the bud later on they will get divided from the parental body, and later it will lead an individual plant. Some of the organs involved in the vegetative reproduction also serves as an organ of storage and perennation. Apart from this function, the primary function, plant growth, they also do certain important functions known as storage. In case they store the food material, as well as they also act as perennation. And the unit of reproductive structures used in propagation is called as reproductive propagules or diaspores. So even this question we may get in 1-mark point of view. So those structures which are responsible for the vegetative propagation are called as reproductive propagules or diaspores. So let's see vegetative reproduction in root. The roots of some plants develop vegetative or adventitious buds on them. So some adventitious buds will be grown on certain plant root parts. So these adventitious buds later may develop into a young plant, as in case of Murraya, Dalbergia and Millingtonia. This is a plant Murraya where certain adventitious buds will develop on the root part. Later they will develop into young plant. Apart from this, some roots act as tuberous adventitious roots. Apart from the developing buds are also stores food material. So example, Ipomia batatus and Dahlia, in case where these root parts will store the carbohydrate, or they will store the food material. So roots possessing buds become detached from the parent plant and grow into an independent plant under suitable conditions. So once when the conditions are favorable, the root parts will get detached from the parent body and they will lead an individual life. So vegetative reproduction in stem. Usually the stem grows above the soil level. Sometimes they are found under the ground, and partially they are subaerial in nature. So that we are familiar with the structure of various underground stem and subaerial modifications. So rhizome is taken as the example, where rhizome is said to be an underground stem where they grow under the soil level. Usually they are brown in color and they grow horizontally to the ground level, and they develop two type of leaves. One growing above the soil level is called as a foliage leaf, and the leaves which are surrounding the stem is usually called as a scale leaves. They are brown in color. So rhizome example is Musa paradisiaca, Gingiber officinale, and Curcuma longa acts as the vegetative reproduction case of the stem. The next is happen to be Calm, Amorphophallus and Colocasia are also examples for the underground stem. And the next is said to be tuber. So Solanum tuberosum potato is said to be the example of this, and bulb onion is said to be the example. Allium cepa and lilium also acts as a vegetative reproductive organs of stem part. So the axillary buds from the nodes of the rhizome and eyes of the tuber gives rise to the new plant. So this part is nothing but the bud region or eye. Usually they develop into a new young plant. So once when the stem grow horizontally on the surface of the soil, such a stem is called as runner. So in case of Centella asiatica, the stem grows horizontally along the ground. So this is called as the runner. And the next in the case of stolon, example Mentha and Fragaria. So this is nothing but the stolon in case of the Fragaria. And sometimes the stem may be partially underground and partially aerial. Such a type is called as sucker, as in case of chrysanthemum. So these arises from the underground stem. So this is actually the erected stem part, and sometimes the stem usually grows underneath the soil and finally it projects out from the soil also, such that partially they are underground and partially they are aerial. Such a type is called as sucker, as in case of chrysanthemum. And in case of Pistia and Egonia, it is said to be offset. The stem of these water plants are usually called as offset. So the next is bulbils. Bulbils develops on the inflorescence of a blooming plant, as in case of Dicera and Agave. So vegetative reproduction in case of leaf. In some plants, adventitious buds are developed on their leaf surfaces. So example, Bryophyllum. So the buds will develop on the leaf margins. So these buds are called as epiphyllous buds. So when they are detached from the parent plant, they grow into new individual plants. Example as shown here, Bryophyllum, Scilla and Begonia. In case of Bryophyllum, the leaf is succulent. They are rich in water content and hence they are succulent in nature, and they are notched on its margin. So when you see the margin, there are certain notches. So here we could see the notches. So in this case of the notches, certain buds develops. So such buds are called as epiphyllous buds. Epiphyllous means over the leaf. So epi outside, phylus leaf. So over the leaves certain buds are located, so that they are known as epiphyllous buds. So they develop into new plants, forming a root system and become independent plants when the leaf gets decayed. So once when the leaf gets decayed, these young buds may develop the root system and finally they may lead an individual plant. So that they are called as the vegetative reproductive method by leaf. And the Scilla is a bulbous plant and grows in the sandy soils. The foliage leaves are long and narrow. So here in case of Scilla, the foliage leaves are very long and narrow, and epiphyllous buds develops on their tips. So these happen to be the buds which develop on their tips. These buds develop into new plants when they touch the soil. Once when these buds touch the soil, they will develop into a new plant. So there are certain advantages of natural vegetation and disadvantages. So this question we may get in either 2 marks or 3 marks point of view. So first let's see the advantages. Only one parent is required for propagation. So a single parent is enough for propagation. The new individual plants produced are genetically identical and similar. So genetically they are similar with the parents. In some plants this enables to spread rapidly, so they may spread very fastly as well as frequently. So that example in case Spinifex is said to be the example. Whereas horticulturists and farmers utilize these organs of natural vegetative reproduction for cultivation and to harvest plants in large scale. So these are the advantages of the natural advantages of the vegetative reproduction. There are certain disadvantages also of natural vegetation. New plants produced have no genetic variation, so they do not have any genetic differences, so they are unique and similar. So that is the lone disadvantage regarding the natural vegetative reproduction. So that the natural vegetative reproduction gets over and we'll see about the artificial reproduction in the next video. Thank you.